Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this DELL Inspiron 5501 or 5508. Alright, so this actually has a broken hinge. That's why it's kind of like at this angle. It's hanging off the edge of my desk. Alright, anyways, we're going to be using a JIS 0 screwdriver to remove all the screws from the bottom. Alright, you want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. The way I do that is I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So there's 4 here towards the opening of the laptop, then there's 2 here, and then there's 3 towards where the hinge are. Right, so let's go ahead and remove all those, and then we're gonna try and pop the cover off. I'm gonna see if I can fix the hinge with some JB Weld. I actually already pulled the frame up on this laptop but I couldn't get the bezel out, so that's why I'm opening the bottom now. It looks like we're going to have to actually pull the entire screen assembly out. Alright, anyways, if this video helps you out, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their device as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright? Anyways, it looks like that back screw, this one, stays attached to the computer, so don't try and rip it out. It's designed like that to pop the plastic up so that you can actually open it up easier. So this one's doing the same thing, but the plastic didn't actually pop up here. But let's see what we can do. It's going to be a little tricky here because of the broken hinge. I have to be extra careful because if I just close the screen on it, it's going to end up cracking that. Oop. What is that? Interesting. So a piece of this hinge actually popped off. I wonder if the other side, if I can just pop it out like that as well. But anyways, as you can see, the bezel's coming out here. We have to be careful. This hinge is broken here, and it was actually scraping on this piece. The customer brought it in, and it's like scraping on that. So we gotta be extra careful. What they did, they just closed the laptop and left the hinge kind of popping out, like, let's see, like this. But I don't know if that's that's not really good for it. Anyways, let's go ahead and pop the bottom cover off. This is gonna be difficult because of the break. So I'm gonna try and pull this. I'm getting my fingernails under. I'm pushing with my thumb here, and I'm just prying up this. Okay, and it will help if I can, push down with my thumb there, and you can see. Alright, and we're actually going all the way around the cover. This bottom's already popping up on its own. I'm pushing down on the palm rest area with my thumb and pulling up with my other fingers, and you can see it's coming out relatively easily. Okay, it looks like this is kind of stuck here. There we go. And we gotta be careful. Let's go ahead and undo the screw a little. Okay. And because it's already kind of broken, I have to be extra careful. I'm gonna get my fingernail in that little gap to try and pop the bottom cover off as I kind of pull on it. And again, I do have to be careful because the hinge is broken, and I don't want to drop that on the floor or table or whatever. Alright, there we go. We got the bottom cover off. We're gonna set that aside. We have access to this now, and I do need to make sure the computer is shut down. It's actually on, so let me shut it down. It turned itself on. Okay, and what I'm gonna have to do now, after the computer completely shuts itself off, we're gonna be removing the hinge area here and pulling the screen out. Let's see, wireless antennas. Good, wireless antennas are in here, so we only have to worry about the display cable. It's really dusty here, so we are going to clean that up as well. Let's go ahead and disconnect the battery cable here. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to use the wings of this battery connector and just use my fingernails to kind of wiggle it and walk it out. And you can see the battery connector is coming out. There's some adhesive here holding this down. If you can peel that up, that would be better. So let's go ahead and try and peel that up so we can pull the connector out. We're gonna have to carefully This one's going to be a little tricky. I'm going to have to use this tool probably to make it easier. So let's see here. Okay, let's see if I can use this to get underneath the adhesive and peel that up. Yeah, it's kind of being a pain here. There's also a lot of dust. Yeah, this, I don't know why they did that, but peel that up. All right. Peel that adhesive up. There we go. If you can, peel the other side as well. Okay, it looks like this cable is actually removable from the battery, so most likely if you replace the battery, you are going to have to transfer this cable over to the new one. Alright, so anyways, we peeled all that adhesive up, so now we should be able to, there we go, get that out, and now we have this. Alright, this side of the connector, it looks like it pops up, so you would basically pull this up. I would usually get underneath with my fingernail under these little wires and then pull it up. But anyways, the battery model is H5CKD. I know it's upside down, but if you need that, that's what it is. Alright, let's go ahead and now after disconnecting the power button, the battery, it's always a good idea to press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds. So here, to drain any residual power. This makes it a lot safer to work on. Alright, so especially since we're removing the screen, it's very important that you do this. Alright, we're going to hold it for a few more seconds. Okay, let's flip this over, and now what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the screen and undo the screws. So I'm going to zoom out. I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but let's see. Let me try and angle this a little bit more. Can I do it without dropping the thing? Okay. There we go. Alright, so now we have access to this. The screen cable here, it peels. There's this adhesive that you need to peel up. Make sure you're just peeling up this clear layer. It's attached to this black plastic layer, so I'm holding that plastic. Oh, and I guess that plastic layer sucks. It's tearing. So we have to be very careful and try and use another tool to help get underneath there. I'm starting from closer to the connector. I know it's hard to see. I can't zoom in because the hinge is broken, so I have to kind of just do it with this view. And I'm going to hold the black plastic down, peel that up. Okay, once we do that, there is a little metal latch here. Okay, so we'll flip that metal latch, make sure that the adhesive's not in the way. And then once you get that latch up, you can pull this from the base of the latch to disconnect it. I'll show a better view most likely once I get the epoxy set and reassemble. But anyways, there's 3 screws holding this hinge and three screws holding this hinge, so we're going to remove those. We're going to actually switch over to a JIS-1 screwdriver. You don't want to use the JIS-0, or you can strip the screws and you're not going to have a good time. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and remove these 3 screws. These ones kind of go in a somewhat of a triangle pattern where there's 2 this way and then 1 out to the middle, and then this one kind of goes more in a straight line. Alright, so we're going to get those screws in, and hopefully we don't have to worry about any other screws here or cables. It looks like that's pretty much all that's going into the screen. Once we remove all that, we should be able to lift the screen up and out, and yes, that is the case. Here is the bezel. This bezel comes out like pretty much all other plastic bezel ones, where you kind of rotate it, you're pulling up from the middle and pull it inwards. The only thing is there's adhesive that holds it around to the frame that kind of separates, and then as it separates, if it's pulling from the bottom and the screen where it's like connecting to, I just snip it. And then I leave that adhesive. We can reuse it, but here's the inside of the computer itself. We have 2 sticks of RAM. If you don't know how to remove RAM, you might want to watch some of my other videos, but it's a 4 gig PC4 3200 AA stick of RAM. You can upgrade it to any PC4 3200 AA stick of RAM, so if you want, you can get 2 16 gig sticks and upgrade to that. They have an M.2, looks like a M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD slot. You do need a screw for this, so yeah, but it does support all the different sizes. There's the keyboard connector here, keyboard backlight connector here. wireless card. The antennas are underneath this metal bracket. Again, if you want to see how to remove that stuff, I show it in other videos, but this one I'm just dealing with the screen, so I'm not going to be pulling that out. CPU is underneath here. This is the heatsink, and it's soldered to the motherboard. If you do remove this piece, you do need to redo the thermal paste. Don't just put it back down. Alright, this is super dusty, so I'm going to clean this up as well, but for now I'm just going to be doing the repairing the screen hinge. Power button, this is the fingerprint sensor cable, goes to this little board here, and then that connects to this USB board for some reason. I don't know why they did it that way, but okay. And then this whole board, oh, I guess it's so you can they can have one cable here, connects to the motherboard here. Alright, that's for the USB port, SD card slot, headphone jack, as well as the power button, fingerprint reader, and all that jazz. Alright, this slot is an M.2 PCIe NVMe slot as well. They used a tiny 256 gig, like a short one. I don't know why they did that, but anyways, there's this metal bracket that you can actually slide that out. You do have to lift this part up because it has this metal dimple that sticks down into like this hole here. And you can slide that out if you take the SSD off and move it over here. So you can have two full-sized M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs, one here and one over here. Alright, and I think that's about it. Wireless antennas, there's one on either side here, and then you got the speaker obviously with a blue and white cable going to this speaker here, and they do plug into the motherboard up right there. Okay, and then I'm pretty sure there's a touchpad or trackpad cable. Battery is removable with 4 screws here, actually 5, there's one more up there, so 5 screws, then you can pop that out. And the clicky button of the touchpad, it's this metal bracket, has that metal indented downwards to get this thing to click on it. There's a little button actually right under there. So not really much else to show. Oh yeah, the DC jack charge port connector is here, and it's held in with 1 screw. I believe if you left the hinge on top, you wouldn't be able to get it out, so you do need to undo the screen hinge to get to that. Alright, anyways, let's go ahead and see about repairing this screen. So we got most of this already out. It looks like we do have to pop this plastic part of the bezel up. And let's see if we can get this off. I think there's still some adhesive. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it does come out like this, and it looks like it's supposed to be attached here. So the other one, it looks like it actually is broken. And not only is the plastic broken, but it's missing these parts that hold it in place. So I have no way to secure that in place. Hopefully whatever's remaining of this can clip back in place, because otherwise that little piece is completely never going to stick back on. Alright, so here's the broken hinge, and this actually slides underneath here. So, okay, am I going to need to remove the screen to do this, or can I just slide this back under here somehow? This is, yeah, no, we're probably going to have to at least undo this adhesive strip. I'm only going to probably remove one side. I don't know if I should remove the whole thing. This is going to be very difficult because I have to make sure this is aligned with the screen when I let it set to cure. Otherwise, we're going to have some problems. So this is really dusty. I'm going to clean this up and I'll be back. I'm just going to use a toothbrush and brush it all this dust off. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I'm back. I guess first thing we're going to do is remove the screen from this, or at least just get the screen out of the way, because this does need to go underneath the screen. I guess if I undid the screws, I could probably just get that underneath, but I mean, we might as well do it right and get the screen out. Alright, so it has these elastic stretch release adhesives, so you want to grab this, and you actually want to pull this straight back. All right, be careful not to pull it up. You don't want to like go up like this. You want to try and pull it as flat as you can. This plastic is in the way, but if you're careful and go really slow, you should be okay with the slight angle. But again, if you can pull it flat, it would be best. So here's how it goes. We're just gonna keep stretching this adhesive. If you can kind of let go and then stretch again. You can see how much it stretches. It's pretty crazy. So I'm gonna pull this, and then I'm gonna, while I'm holding it, grab that, let it stretch back, and then continue pulling this. And you want to be careful, because if you want to reuse this, you don't want it to stick to itself. Most of the time it's going to end up sticking to itself, and you're going to have to throw that stuff away. If that happens, you can use small pieces of double stick adhesive. You don't have to use this stretch release adhesive, but this does make it so that you can more cleanly remove it, and also so you can secure the whole length of the screen. But it's not really necessary. If you just put a small piece of double stick adhesive on the top corner and the bottom corner, you should be fine. Anyways, there's that stretch release adhesive tab. So we're gonna just put that out of the way. Usually I stick it somewhere hanging. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the other side. Though technically, now that that adhesive is out, we can lift this up and we can get this into place. All right, and then we can probably secure that in, but it's probably best if we can get the whole screen out, and then we can maneuver it a lot better. So let's go ahead and remove the adhesive on this side as well. Okay. All right. This stuff is kind of annoying, but it is what it is, and it's what they decide to use. You don't want to pull too fast, because then you'll end up snapping the adhesive. So just take it slow, pull it, let it kind of release itself as you slowly pull on it. Okay. All right, again, don't try and rush it, because if you try and rush it, you're going to tear the adhesive and you're never going to be able to get out the screen, or you're going to have to completely destroy the screen trying to get it out, and possibly even the frame of the back piece. Okay, so there we go. Get that. Continue pulling. There we go. Oh, not quite yet. There we go. All right, so we got both pieces out, and they actually came out nicely. It didn't stick to itself, so we can reuse the full length of both. All right, there we go. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna flop the screen forward here. And you wanna be careful, you don't wanna damage this piece. Here you can see the screen model number, if you need it, is right there. LP, hopefully you can see, LP156 WFC, and then SPK1 in parentheses. So that's the model number there. Let's see if we can actually disconnect the screen. Actually, it's gonna be a pain, because this stuff is it held down with adhesive? Yeah. So we're gonna peel up this adhesive a little bit. Be careful, you don't want to just pull straight up. I'm pulling it sideways to try and keep it flat, because you don't want to just tear out that screen cable. All right, there we go. And yeah, this is kind of, the whole cable has like a thing in it, so be very careful. I'm just slowly peeling this up, trying to keep it flat. And now it's enough that I can kind of get this screen rotated and over here, and then now we should be able to remove this. So what I'm going to do, actually technically now I don't need to remove it, but I mean, let's go ahead. So I'm going to use this flat little plastic razor blade so I can get underneath the adhesive. Though you can just peel it up with like your fingernails or something. Usually that's what I do. And then we're going to peel this up all the way. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so we're going to peel this adhesive up. All right, that way and this way. And then once you peel this out, there's a metal bar that goes across, so you get underneath. Carefully, I use my fingernail and pop that up. All right, once you do that, I grab both sides, and then as close as I can to the connector itself, like down towards the bottom of this latch, I use that to pull it out. And there we go. All right, and again, if you need the, ooh, be careful, this screen is like now stuck down to the table. Hopefully it's not going to crack from that, but there we go. Here's the screen model information. Again, LP156 WFC SPK1. All right, hopefully the LCD is okay, because it was like flexing a little, it didn't want to come out easily, right? Okay, so now we have this piece, and we need to get this locked back in place here. So as you can see, it just broke off completely, and we need this to go back down there. So this might actually we do need to leave this, because otherwise the glue will get in these holes and then we'll be in trouble. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna just get some JB Weld and we're gonna fill that up, and then this piece will basically just sit back here. I'm gonna roll that so it can kind of set, and we're gonna have to leave it overnight because JB Weld takes 15 hours to completely cure, 24 hours for actual like complete cure. But anyways, we don't really need too much. We just gotta fill up this piece and then sit it down and it should be good to go. So let's go ahead and mix up some JB Weld. If you've been following my channel, you'll see that, or you would have seen that I've used JB Weld a lot, because these things do break very, very often. Okay, hinge damage is very common, and yeah, I don't know, all these hinges, they use like plastic or a not very good glue. I don't know what they're using here, but anyways, so JB Weld is a 2-part epoxy. There's the white and then there's the black, and I'm gonna need some paper towel here to clean it up. But anyways, let's go ahead and get a little bit here. We're not gonna need much. This is probably already more than enough because it's gonna smash super thin. So yeah, keep that in mind. All right, but sometimes it's nice to have a little overflow and it makes it hold stronger. But you want to make sure that it's not going to get in the way of the screen. All right, we're going to get the black part now. I'm going to use a different thing to scoop up the black part because you don't want it to mix in the tubes. All right, so that's again more than enough. So we're going to get that. Okay, and then we just got to stir the 2 parts together and then smear it where we need it. All right, so we're going to get this, stir it together. And after using this stuff so often, I kind of get the idea of like if it's dark gray enough or too light gray, then I need to add more of the other. This looks about right. Okay, oops, pick it up. Let's stir it all together better. Scrape it all in. Mix it all up. Okay, just like that. All right, now that we got that all stirred up, we have this piece. We can basically just smear this all on here. So we can grab that and we're just gonna smear this all over this piece. We only need a very, very thin layer, and when you actually smush it down, it's gonna spread even more, so you don't want to put a crazy amount. And the thing with this is we're gonna actually spread this on both sides, not just on this, because sometimes you miss some. So there's that, and then we're gonna set that aside. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this aside, and we're gonna smear some on here as well, and that way we can make sure we get a solid connection to both sides. So basically get that, and we're just gonna kind of smear that on there as well. Okay, just like this, and smear it all around. And you'll need, again, a very thin amount. This is already probably too much. And it will kind of smear itself. When you push it down like thermal paste, it'll basically spread itself super thin. So even if it doesn't look like that much, don't worry, it's plenty. All right. So I'll show you right now. So it looks like we don't have a full coverage there, but when we go to put this piece in, and actually some of the stuff got on the walls here, so we want to clean that off the edge. We don't want that to prevent the bezel from sticking. Okay. And then we're just going to get this piece, make sure to get that lined up. Okay, and get everything into place. There we go. And then we basically will smush this down, and you can see how it's oozing out of there. So we don't want all of that stuff oozing out, coming out, and getting in the way. So we're gonna have to scrape that up and then get that excess out of there. But basically we're gonna get this, okay, and set that aside. All right, we're gonna get this oozing stuff out of there, because we don't want that all getting in the way. All right, and stuff is oozing out here as well. Okay, so now that we got that, we're gonna use this small bit of paper towel to kind of clean it off, just so it's not oozing out into the oozing out and getting in the way. Okay, clean that up as well. Good. Let me get more paper towel to clean it a little bit better. Okay. And now this thing just has to set overnight, and then we'll reassemble it. So 15 hours, and then we'll reassemble. All right, so I'll see you guys then. It'll be seamless for you guys, but for me, it's gonna be overnight, 15 hours at least. All right, see you guys later. All right, so I clamped it down like this, all right, and it's been sitting overnight, not quite 15 hours yet, but that should be enough to hold it to where I can actually get everything reassembled, but not to actually put it into use. So let's go ahead and take a look. You can see the hinge here, and if I move it, you can see it holds perfectly fine. You can see some of the JB Weld oozed out if you want, because this is sticking up a bit. It'll be good to actually cut this flat, so that way the screen won't be resting on a bump here. Okay, so I'm gonna just use this razor blade, and we're gonna cut that excess off. Okay, just like this. Oops, don't cut into the surrounding material. Okay, so we'll cut that, and then we can remove this excess. All right. All right, and this piece, oh, it's a little bit higher as well, so we'll cut that. Just like this, okay. There we go. And now it's completely flat there. So we should be good. Let's go ahead now and reassemble this thing. So, first things first, we do have to get the LCD screen back on, but we do want to have the what do you call those plastic tabs, or sorry, the stretch release adhesive. So that goes along this plastic, and then it was just sitting on top here. So let's go ahead and get those adhesive strips and get that into place. So this will kind of sit like this, and then we just gotta have it lined back up here. All right, it doesn't need to be perfect, but just try and get it best you can. Stick that down, okay, and there we go. Here you can see we have the tab right there, okay, and we're going to do that with all four. Sorry, not all four, all two. I don't know why I said four. Okay, so we're going to flip this over, and we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay, again, if for some reason you got these stretch release adhesives all tangled or stuck together, you don't really need all this adhesive here. You can actually get away with just using a little double stick tape up here and a little bit down here. You don't need to put a whole bunch. All right, but anyways, let's go ahead and grab the screen and reassemble this. So we got this piece, all right, and we're gonna go ahead and get this cable back in. Let me zoom in here. It's going to be a little bit tricky. There's this adhesive that when I put this down, it's going to kind of stick to the desk, so I'm going to have to be careful lifting it back up. But we're going to get this cable back in, okay? So again, there's this metal tab we're gonna hold that back, and actually this is upside down for the way I need to work on it, so let's peel this off the desk and flip this over, and hopefully you guys will be able to see it. Okay, so we got that. We're gonna go this way. Okay, so it's easier for me to work on it this way. We can see this, and I use my finger back here to maneuver this along that latch. Then we'll get that in, and then towards the bottom again of the metal clasp, we pull that in. Now that it's all the way in, you can go ahead and put the metal clasp down first. Okay, make sure that kind of locks into place. Okay, and then you can pull on this a little and then tape that back down. All right, very good. And then we gotta be careful because this does have adhesive on it as well, so when we flip it backwards, we want it to stick. All right, so we'll get this back over here. Make sure the cable ends up back on top. You don't want to get that underneath. And then I like to line up the top edges here. Let me actually flip this over so it's easier for me to see and work on. All right, and again, we're gonna line up the top corners here first. Okay, so this and this. So get the little corner up in there, and then you kind of align that, pull that in, pull this in. Okay, and we're gonna slowly drop this in. Oh, looks like we're gonna have a little trouble because the hinges stick out a little here. So it looks like we have to get this underneath the hinge area first before we can even do that. So get that under the hinge area, and then while holding this up, you can also use like some popsicle sticks or something underneath, but while holding that, then you gotta align this top edge corner and this top edge corner. Oh, I accidentally pulled it up. Yeah, this is tough because you have to make sure it remains underneath, underneath the hinge here. So it's a little tricky. Let's see here, come on. So you gotta make it remain underneath that while getting the top corner edges in there, and this one there. Okay, so once you get both top edges in, you can go ahead and drop that down, and you can push that into place. We do have this that we need to also worry about. Make sure this stuff gets held back down with the adhesive, and there we go. All right, so I didn't see how it looked before it was broken, but I'm assuming this cable goes out this way because of the way it's curved. So hopefully it doesn't need to go all the way around in here or something. But that's the screen reassembled. We do need to put the bezel back on now. So here we go. We have the bezel here. You can actually see these clips here, and a lot of these clips are actually broken, it seems, from when that hinge broke. So it's not going to hold completely down, but hopefully it will be good enough, especially since there's this adhesive there that was still stuck. All right, so we're going to start with this side first, angling it this way, and we got to get this under here so that it can clip in. Okay, it's like that. Make sure to hold that and get it to clip in. There's also this little hinge cover that clips in. Okay, then we can go ahead and start up here, and we're basically pushing on the outside so it kind of rotates itself in. So we'll go like that down the edge, and there we go. Then same thing, pushing down on the top outer edge. All right, so it rotates itself into place just like this. Okay, make sure that's all in. Yeah, this one, because it broke the hinge, I don't think this is going to go in. Yeah, the clip here is broken, so it's not going to go in. It doesn't have anything to really sit into. But let's see, I'll try and push it, and it clips a little bit, but not 100%. Yeah, this part here is like, is there something there I can kind of, let me see if I can clean it up a little. It looks like it bent the screen up a little so it doesn't sit completely flat here, sadly. Yeah, I think that's what's preventing it from going down all the way. Is there a clip here that's... This one part here, it doesn't want to sit completely flat. I don't know what's blocking it. Is there a piece of broken plastic here? Oh, yeah. Okay, so this clip folded backwards, so we actually have to flip it back up or completely remove it. So there's this plastic clip that was, I don't think it will clip in, but I moved it out of the way now, so now it can go down more flat. And then this, obviously also because this is broken, I don't think it's going to clip in well either, but it's okay. It's a lot better than it was before. Okay, make sure this is all in. Push all the adhesive down around the edges. We did have this little piece, but I don't know if this is going to fit in. It's missing the plastic that holds it to the front part of the frame, but let's see if the clips on the back will be able to somehow hold it. So no. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to actually just use some tape or something here to hold this part together. So I'm gonna clean it up a little, brush it off, and then we're just gonna tape this piece onto there. Okay, so let's get a piece of tape and get that taped into place. All right, so we don't need a crazy amount. See here, what length do we need around there? About halfway. Okay, so now we got this piece of tape here. We're gonna stick that down onto this and then just wrap it around. So we can actually take this out first. And this is very specific to how this one broke, so you don't have to really copy, but okay, so we're gonna wrap this onto this blue tab here. Okay, then we have this excess coming out that's going to wrap around this side. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so we got to get this piece back in. Line that all up. Good. And then while you're holding that down, we're going to just wrap that around. Okay, just like that. Alright, and that should hold that blue tab into place. It's different color because it's not matte, it's glossy, but it should do the trick. There's the other one, there's this one. Okay, so at least it'll cover and hide the cable. All right, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna install the screen back into here. Okay, get some stuff out of the way. All right, so we're gonna pull this cover back off. Ooh, did it screw itself back into place? I need to switch back to the JIS 0. Okay, take that back off. Next thing we're gonna do, we gotta get the screen back in. I'm not sure in this model if we can do this, but sometimes you can like tilt it up. Oops, sorry, let me rotate it so you can see. So sometimes you can tilt it up to get the hinge in and then close it, and it looks like we can do that with this model. So now I can work on it with the hinges in the up position, and as you can see, actually you can open the hinge and remove this without taking the whole screen out. So you can actually just undo the screws on this side, so when you open the screen slightly, close it, this hinge will be slightly up and you can get underneath to pull it out. All right, let's go ahead and take a close look here to get the cable back in. So we'll get this in. Okay, line it back up, and again towards the bottom of this little latch I pull that. That's how I click it in, and then we're going to go ahead and pull that tab back down, or the latch, make sure that clicks in, and then tape that back down. All right, I think I already showed everything else, the 2 slots for RAM, but if you need a close-up, pull the 2 tabs to the side, it pops up. There we go. And again, this is, come on, focus. Why isn't it focusing? Focus, there you go. PC4 3200AA, 4 gig. Yeah, and you can upgrade to 16 gig sticks if you want and have 32 gigs of RAM total. All right, if I didn't mention already, BIOS, CMOS, RTC, real-time clock battery here. I'm pretty sure I mentioned everything else. So let's go ahead now and just reassemble this thing. So we're gonna have to go back to pushing the hinges down. So I flip this back over and we have access to the hinge. We can rotate this back down, make sure that it lines up right. And you gotta move like, oops, sorry, let me zoom out here. So I actually had to move this side to get it lined up. Don't just try and force this down because it has these raised metal posts here. Okay, And now we're going to go ahead and put the 3 screws that were in here. Oops, I need to switch back to the JIS1. So on this side it had the 3 screws going up in a line, so we're going to put those 3 back in, tighten that all the way down. Alright, just like that. Okay, make sure it's good, nice and tight, that's not going to go anywhere. The screw closest to the hinge is actually the most important, so make sure you get that in right. Alright, we got this side as well, rotate that down. Alright, that went in place without me having to move the other part, but if you do, just move it. Alright, now we'll get this screw in. Okay, the smaller, shorter silver screw up here, assuming nobody messed with this and that's how it was. And then we got one more screw here. They actually have arrows here so you know which one to put it in, and you have to put it in the bigger spot, not this smaller screw hole. The smaller one is for the case cover. Alright, so now we got all those screws back in. Let's go ahead now, and we're switching back over to the JIS0 screwdriver. We just need to reconnect the battery, so get that lined up. If you're replacing the battery, make sure you don't put the cable in upside down. As you can see, you have the exposed pins showing at the top here. Okay, let's go ahead now and get that connector back in. Make sure it goes in straight, not at an angle. Alright, and then push the whole thing down at once, because if you go crooked, you can bend the pins. I've had some customers bring me after they bent those, and sometimes those pins break off and then it's impossible to fix. Sometimes you're lucky and you can get it working. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and open this up and see if it's going to power up and work okay. So we're going to go ahead. Oh, I forgot, this model turns itself on. So I actually see the keyboard lighting up. And there we go, we got the DELL, the screen is on, and it's spinning, so we should be good to go. Again, the hinge, you do want to let it sit, okay? You don't want to try and use it right away, okay? Give me a second here. Alright, so yeah, the hinge, you don't want to try and use it right away. You can like open and close it like just the once to test it. But I like to be extra careful, and I push on the backs here to help rotate it, so like this, so it's not using all the force of the hinge mechanism like from in the screen. All right, so anyways, there we go. That's what that looks like. We can get a thumbnail there, and let's go ahead now and get the bottom cover on. So we're gonna start from the bottom here and just click this in first. Okay, then work our way up the sides. Similar, I'm just pushing around the outer edge, and then we'll work our way there. And now we can go ahead and get all the screws in. Again, these are the JIS0 screws. All right, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. Again, if it did, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. Comment, because yeah, the algorithm likes to see that. So even if you don't really have anything to comment, just if you can post a comment, that'll help a lot. And then if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. If you can't help out that way, it would help a lot if you watch a few of my other videos. That'll help you learn more how to work on these things. Or you can watch some of my reviews or other random videos and then comment on them, because yeah, that's what the algorithm likes to see and helps my channel grow. Alright, and yeah, other than that, you're welcome to stay as I get the last few screws in, but we're pretty much good to go. Alright, let's get the last few in. Alright. This one is not going in right. There we go. Okay, and make sure when you're screwing this in that your screwdriver is going in. Oh yeah, this is okay. Let me fix these 2 screws. They're a little weirdly crooked, so I need to make sure they go in right, or it's gonna be an issue later. Yeah, I don't know why these ones are kind of crooked. Like this one also went down weird, so we gotta try and fix these 2 screws. I don't know what's going on here. Doesn't want to go in at the right angle. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's why. Did it not pop in all the way? No, it is. Actually, maybe the front isn't. It doesn't. Oh yeah, the front here's clip isn't quite clicked into place. Okay, so I'm actually gonna have to take this back out to clip it in properly. Whoops. It didn't go in at the right angle. You do have to get the bottom clicked in properly before you do the rest. Otherwise, the same thing will happen. It's not gonna clip in properly. Okay. So yeah, I make these mistakes, so hopefully you can know what to avoid or how to fix it if it happens to yours. All right, so we get this back out. This middle screw back out. Oh, and now I can actually show how you would do it if the hinge wasn't broken. Okay, so as you pull this up, it actually pulls this whole casing up and helps. Usually it will help form a gap there, but in this case it didn't actually do that. So let's see, did this side form a gap? No? Oh, kind of. Okay, then we can kind of get underneath there and pull this up. All right, and then I like to get underneath and slide my fingernail down the edge like this. That's how I get these out. All right, and same thing with here. Okay, there we go. All right, so we do have to get these latches for here in first. So make sure, it's hard to tell. It did look like it was latched in, but I guess it wasn't quite. Okay, and there we go. Now it's lined up right. And we can go ahead and push those. Let's actually try and put these screws first to make sure. But definitely the screw mounts do look more aligned than last time. Yep, okay. And then we just gotta get all these screws back in, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Again, thanks for watching. You're welcome to stay as I get all these screws in again for the second time. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you on the next one. All right, let's get all these screws back in. Yeah, hopefully this part, the mess up, helped you guys. If yours was crooked, then that's how you would fix it. All right, good. Let's get the last few screws here. Make sure to click it all in. Alright, click that all in. And we're pretty much good to go. Let's get the last, this one and these two. Alright, and that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Let's drop this. Bye.